and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Just a catching strays over here.
You're in for a hell of a show.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas. This is the hardest working crew in all of podcasting.
That's right. We never take a day off. We always provide our dear listeners with content. And this episode is no different. It's going to be a very enjoyable post-Christmas treat for all our listeners.
So you recall, for those of you who are listening, we have listened for a while. We've talked about this for a long time.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to do it today.
Yeah.
This is usually reserved for the live shows that we've done. But we're going to do a Q&A. And over the last month, all of you have been sending in a bunch of questions, none of which we have reviewed, but were put together by Wolf. And I assume Spaghetti had a hand in it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I haven't read any of these questions. Everyone seems really excited who has. So there must be some good stuff in here.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we get the best listeners in the business, and you know that they're very engaged. And I'm confident that some of these questions will jab at some of us. I mean,
I'm assuming none of them are going to be just free shot.
This is going to be essentially just a hazing.
It's not like, what is your take on the recent polls?
Yeah. Nope, this is going to be all violence.
I imagine, so I can't wait to get into it. The way that we have this set up is everybody's going to read different questions, and we're all going to answer. So I'm kind of excited about what we get. A little nervous.
A little nervous.
But it looks like the first one is going to go to Ashbrook.
Okay, well, this first question comes from Rick. And Rick's question is, you often ask guests about which animal they can beat in a fair fight. My question involves football and racist stereotypes.
Oh, God.
High heat out of the gate.
That's the way to start a show.
High heat out of the gate.
I imagine the ethnicities are probably very specific here.
Wait do you hear this second part? Who do you think would win in a fight between the Eagles' head of security, Big Dom DeSandro, and the Notre Dame leprechaun mascot?
Oh, my God.
Go.
So it's the Irish and the Italians?
Irish versus the
That's
Italians.
like the eternal conflict.
Yeah.
That's like the story of the city of Boston.
Smug, you want to kick that off?
Yeah, you know, I would have to say, given their storied history of crime and violence, you might as well go with Italians. Like you know, with the Irish, a lot of it was purpose. Like they're setting off car bombs and such ostensibly because they want to be a free country. You know, still terrible people, no doubt. But the thing is that like Italian violence is without purpose. You know, it's like the weather. It's just gonna happen. It's just out there, and everyone's got to deal with it.
Well, I have a practical secondary question. Maybe you can just rule on it because it doesn't appear, if that's all you've got, that there are ground rules. Mm-hmm. But are other people involved?
No, I think this has to be a one-on-one situation.
And are foreign objects allowed?
This dude's gonna pull a shillelagh.
You mean like a piano wire or a car bomb?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it has to be
just one-on-one?
One-on-one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Big Dom, right? There's just no way that Big Dom doesn't lay a beating on the leprechaun. The leprechauns are small people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean...
They're small people.
Leprechauns are also magical.
Wait, but this
dude's going to pull out a pot of gold on the spot. And
okay, wait, so you're magical. Give me a little flavor for that. I might change my mind.
Well, I mean, the Italians are brutal and violent in the mafia, but that's group fighting. And it's not...
That's why I asked if there were other people.
And like, look, if you've watched your mafia movies, it's not like you see these Italians squaring up in a fair fight.
No, I mean...
They're stabbing somebody with a pen at the bar, or they're leading them through a hallway to their death. Like, it isn't squared up fair fighting. You know, Notre Dame leprechaun, they're the fighting Irish. It's in the name.
But, like, is there any other kind? You know, you give 2 drinks to any Irishman and he's the fighting Irish. Like, this is not a unique situation.
All you're telling me is that the reputation is well earned. Like, look, I mean, the Italians.
It's not the winning Irish, I might add. They'll throw down, they'll fight. This guy's had a couple Jamesons and he's going to get his ass kicked at the bar, but he fights. At least he fights.
Well, look, all I'm saying is I saw Big Dom move, and I think if he was squaring up with an offensive tackle, it'd be one thing. But leprechauns are fast. And I think here...
And they do a lot of push-ups and things, so they're not, weak.
I think
that's a good point.
Speed and trickeration ultimately wins the day. Probably a dirty punch below the belt, and Big Dom goes down.
Okay. All right, so we have one Italian and one Irish.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the size, the sheer magnitude of Dom here is going to be decisive. I feel like I hear you with the moving around.
Yeah, one lasagna breakfast, and this guy's not going to be able to walk.
But he's been conditioned by years of an extremely high carb diet, he's having spaghetti. He's having spaghetti 5 or 6 times a day. This guy is just like a workhorse,
How is the leprechaun down on his luck?
It doesn't say. It leaves that to the.
I mean, if he's down on his luck of fighting Irish, is really that's a rough thing to overcome. But I think in this circumstance, we're talking about the Notre Dame leprechaun, and if we're talking about that, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of magic, at least not lately. And he seems like a huge size disadvantage to me. I'm going to go with Big Dom.
How about you, Ashbrook? Who's your pick here?
I think there is no such thing as a fair fight between an Irishman and an Italian.
Yeah.
I think they'll both bring weapons, and I think that a pot of gold over the head is much better than a cannoli to the eye.
Well,
it's a split decision.
Here's the thing.
I think the Irishman wins.
It comes down to this, honestly, if an Italian and an Irishman fight, you know who wins?
Who?
Society.
Yeah, unbelievable. Spaghetti's got it. This is a real rough one for him.
It's an internal battle.
It's a real
for
civil
him.
war for him.
It's a fought over 18 inches between his head and his heart.
Yeah.
I love that they set us up with that one right out of the gates.
It's a good start.
And it's a good start. All right, Duncan, I think you got the second one.
This one's from Jared. Says, hello, Ruthless. For the Q&A podcast, I want to know who met who first, and how did the four of you end up creating the jobs you have now?
Wow.
This is a good one.
Very good question.
So Ashbrook and I met first, and we have worked together formally since January of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And we've...
Solid partnership.
Yeah, we've been together all the way since then. We poached our good friend Michael. He was working against us.
Yeah.
He was working against us and was very good at what he did. And so we had to figure out a way to either steal his stuff or steal him. And we decided to steal him.
I mean, that's the smartest way to win, right?
Yeah. So we did that. And then we all met basically when you just kind of cold called and said, hey, you want to come to a happy hour, right?
Yeah, so for years, pre-COVID, I used to have these secret happy hours in New York and D.C., invite only. No one was allowed to talk about who attended. So everyone could actually, be themselves.
Yeah.
So, I think, did you show up with Duncan? And I think it was the whole gang, right?
And actually, the full night is worth exploring.
It's incredible. So just to go back to the beginning here, they met in 2007.
Yeah.
And then
13.
I met you guys in 13. And then this is 2019.
I think it's 19.
Yeah, it's 19.
Yep.
So 2019, I'm going to Smug's happy hour, and my wife is very, very pregnant at this time. And my folks had come in. Her due date was at the end of the week, and I think this was like a Tuesday or something.
Yeah, it was also wasn't it the night that Alison Lundgren, or no, it was what's her name, Amy
McGrath.
McGrath announced her candidacy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was the 24 hours afterwards in which she flip-flopped on the Supreme Court three times, and we were really enjoying making fun of her. My folks were in town, and we're sort of on baby watch, right? So, you're not trying to do a lot of stuff. A lot of, dials spinning in the Duncan home at the time. But, I told my parents, hey, I got this one obligation. I got to go. I'm going to do this happy hour after work. Can you just like, take my wife to dinner or whatever, and I'll be home at 9 or whatever. So we go to the happy hour, hang out with Smug. I think we gave you a Cocaine Mitch shirt at the time, signed by McConnell.
Cocaine Mitch himself
delivered the product. and yeah, I mean, that's like how we officially met. And then I went home from the happy hour. My parents like leave, everything's fine with my wife, and then at like midnight she's like, oh my God, I'm in labor. So I didn't get to sleep. I worked all day, then went to this event, and then went to the hospital and was there for the next
and if memory serves, we had a pretty good time.
Also, this is a pattern. Like the when people meet me, that's probably the best day of their life. Like it'll end up being
it's a pattern.
In one way or the other.
It's a pattern.
Wouldn't put it that way, but yeah. So yeah, that's how we all met. And then the follow-up to that was Smug and Holmes getting together and being like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. And we sort of had this whole parallel thinking that we were doing on our own.
I mean, it's the most, I think it was the most uncanny moment of my life.
Yeah,
almost,
totally.
So I had been thinking and ruminating for a while about starting a media company, podcast, that's actually enjoyable to listen to and has humor. And it's not like lecturing people and uses satire and jokes. And so like, we had a great time. I hit it off. And so I was like, let's, I'd love to, I think it was the following day. I was like, I'd love to drop by your office and chat about an idea. And you're like, sure, it's great. And so I bring up this idea, and then you're like, take a look at this. And across the desk, he slides this PowerPoint describing the exact same idea.
We had the same idea.
Which is insane.
Yeah. I mean, it never happens like that. It was very...
I think that was a sign it was meant to be. I was like, holy shit, well, damn.
We knew we had to do it at that point because we had the same idea at the exact same time.
And all these years later, we're doing the show, but we're also still doing those day jobs.
Yeah.
Which is like something for people to remember when they're like, man, why don't you just record every day? Maybe someday we will. Maybe we will. But anyway, that's how we all met. And that's a good question, Steve. We appreciate that. That wasn't Steve, was it? It was Jared. All right. It looks like the next one randomly from Steve, but it's Smug. I don't even know what the question is.
So this is from Steve. It says, when the podcast began, you brought in 290,000 followers from Twitter, which is more than double Ashbrook, Duncan, and Holmes combined.
What an
So
outrage.
what type of exercises do you have to carry those gentlemen on your back each week? Steve in Portland, this is a great
This is 100% submitted by Smug himself.
This is, honestly, Steve in Portland, probably the finest question we're going to get.
Oh, my God. It's incredible. Just incredible.
And to be honest, so like a while ago, I wanted to get in better shape. I hired a trainer. I got to give him credit. Max, outstanding job. I'd say that's who I credit with helping me carry all the weight.
Oh, my God.
Because it is... No, but to be honest...
Because your outstanding physical condition?
But I mean, I'd say, like, to be honest, the thing is, I think what sets this show apart from anywhere else is every single person is essentially a subject matter expert, and beyond just being the expert, probably the best person in their field. And so if you're getting a show with opinions from people like that, you're getting something special.
I mean, the unique part about it is, and thank you for that, Smug, but I think the unique part about it is we all come at this thing very differently, right? I mean, I was in Republican leadership, so was Smash, but he was in like deeply into the comms world of knowing basically all of the reporters and how news was made in a very changing environment. Duncan was very immersed into the activist grassroots community, very online community. And then Smug, when you came along, it was like this entirely different thing right at the moment of maximum impact, in that you were not only in tune with the online right, but also had this irreverent sense of humor that matched up with everything that we had done previously. Because, when we ran campaigns and things like that, our MO was always that we had to be very funny.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't funny, you weren't captivating anybody's attention. They could get media anywhere. But you had to try to be hilarious. And you were just this naturally hilarious, irreverent personality on the internet who had done like crazy finance things and everything else and came from a different world and looked at things differently. And the meshing of all of that, I think on this show is what you like about it. Because if we all had the same opinion about everything, that'd be pretty fucking boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is, we get all these really nice 5-star reviews. And at the end of the day, I think what folks get from this is it's kind of like a friendship simulator, because if you're hanging out with us, you're like the fifth buddy having a beer at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that on top of the expertise, it's more fun listening to people talk about important things if you feel like you're just having a drink with them.
Yeah, no group of real friends agrees on every single thing, and no group of real friends refuses to speak to one another because one guy likes Trump and the other guy likes DeSantis. I mean, it's just like that's not how friendship among Republicans works, and I feel like our show is a much more realistic view of what your typical crew of Republican buddies is like.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's definitely right. I also just think, look, we don't take ourselves or each other too seriously, and it's what we would choose to do no matter what. Like, we happen to have a microphone in front of our faces. But, like, when we started this, like, we talk about this a lot in the live show. I mean, before we actually started recording, we would just get on Zooms during COVID and bet the ponies and talk
such
shit.
Good times, honestly. Like, I think I don't know if we've mentioned this on the show, but in the live show, folks get to hear this story of literally it was like the Friday standing appointment during COVID of everyone's pouring bourbons at their house on Zoom. Watching the horse race channel,
TVG,
placing bets,
Getting ready.
Scioto Downs.
Yeah, Louisiana Downs, Laurel Hill.
And occasionally it went late enough for you guys to get into like the weird
Harness racing and Hyderabad.
which is wild. Like this is like Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
The betting race.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Like the stop start is hilarious because they're all just sort of like doing circles and stuff. Yeah.
It starts with like, you've got your Keenelans and your Churchills and your Saratogas and stuff like that. And by the end of it, you're in Abbottabad.
No,
No, not about it is
Hyderabad.
It is in Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
Which I will say that India might be the closest thing to Rome that we have remaining on this planet.
But I mean, to think like, who are the other people on a Friday at like 3 p.m. betting on ponies alongside? Like, how is there any liquidity in this market? What's wrong with you people?
Oh, I mean, we were just like in fits of laughter.
It was
I remember
the best.
being just in paralyzed laugh. That's when we knew we had to do something.
Yeah.
All right, question 4. I guess this one's for me. This is from Carlton. Carlton asks, fellas, everyone knows that Capitol Hill is a lot like high school, with people like you and people you don't like to deal with. Well, that's a fair point. For the House and Senate, who are your favorite members to deal with and who are your least favorites? It's an interesting question. It is varied, right, fellas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, does anybody have an answer right off the top?
I mean, I could probably go right off, the top with, if I had to think who's my favorite member to deal with. For the House, probably Mike Collins, who, I mean, we had him on very recently.
Very funny.
Extremely down-to-earth person. Folks, if you have not listened to that interview, go back and listen to it, because to me, this is the exact kind of person you want in office, who during COVID had a trucking family business and understands what all Americans went through during that time, and is a guy from Georgia who everyone listening to the show would hang out with if he weren't a member of Congress. Like, if he were just a dude, which I think is terrific, because I love the idea of citizen representation, not just, oh, well, I represent a certain number of citizens. You are one of the citizens, know? So I think that's the best way to convey in government and be a voice for the people. So
Who do you hate, Smug? Who do you hate?
In the House?
Well, just general. You don't need to be House or Senate specific. Let's throw one out there.
So I want Republicans to come together.
Yeah, but let's not.
Well, there was a Florida senator who's been.
I knew he was going to do it.
He's been a troublemaker and causes a lot of problems. And he hasn't been on the show. I hear he's afraid. And I mean, if I were that small, I understand where fear could come from. But,
Jeez.
but he's probably a nice guy.
He probably is. I know him. He is a nice guy. He is a nice guy. And you probably get along with him great, if not for previous interactions.
But senators I get along with, I'd say Ted Cruz for sure, which is shocking because I think for the longest time, Ted Cruz had the reputation of being this like, oh, he's extremely smart, know-it-all. You know, like clearly this is a guy who knows the Constitution, everything like the back of their hand. But I think over the past, I don't know, over like 5 years, he's kind of like let his hair down, like literally grew a beard.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz is now like an extremely chill dude who's at the same time still out there, combative as hell to the left. Like especially his work on judiciary is tremendous. Like this is a guy who, and the reason he knew the Constitution so much is it's clear he loves it and firmly believes in the importance of it and defending it. And also a great person to hang out with. Good dude.
There you go. Duncan, what do you got? He hates everybody. He's like, I hate everybody.
I'm sort of a misanthrope, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Look, there's plenty of people I've got along with, like who've come on the show and stuff, who I met in a previous life at some point. I would say like Tim Scott comes to mind. I first met Tim Scott when he was running for the House way back in the day. This is in one of my previous lives when I was upsetting you and working against you.
Yeah, that's what you did.
But I remember meeting Tim Scott.
Without remorse, I might
None.
add.
Zero.
Yeah.
Still proud of it. And I met him backstage at some event we were putting on, and he was just the most down-to-earth guy, and I remember like everybody had these T-shirts from the event on, and he's like wearing his suit and tie, and he's like, hey, can I get one of those T-shirts?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, sure. Like, here you go. And he's like, just like puts it on over his
Really?
Yeah, like over his like shirt and tie.
That's
and he's
awesome.
like, I'm wearing this on stage. I was like, okay, well, cool.
So great.
And it's just a really down-to-earth guy. So like you got to respect that, especially in a town like this where everybody
stick out like that.
Everybody sniffs their own farts.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd pick Senator Kennedy because I mean he was a barrel of laughs.
He was
when
very
on the
Dude,
show.
that guy is hilarious.
Well, he took a
Very,
personal
very
shot at me. Totally unfounded. I'd never met the guy.
I think that might be our wildest segment ever.
It started,
And that's how it began.
and he was alone.
First 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Smash, what do you got?
I'm from Hamilton, Ohio, so I like the people who are who they are, and I really like Jim Banks. I really like Mitch McConnell. I really like Tom Cotton. I don't like the phonies. I'm not going to go into who I think is a phony here because I would break a lot of news and I would betray a lot of confidence.
Oh wow, that's juicy.
if I were to do that, but I like the people who do what it is they say they're going to do, and they're the same person behind the scenes that they are in public.
Yeah.
Could I ask a spare question for Ashbrook? Bonus question.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite journal buddy? You have to pick just one. I know there's
Favorite
hundreds.
journo buddy.
But how do we know that that's not in the questions?
I would get people in trouble if I were to
You
do that.
actually would ruin their career.
I can't
Yeah.
do it.
They'd never
I
be on
can't- I can't
television
do
No,
it.
they would certainly not be on television.
Kiss of death for a journal is what I aim for every day on this show.
Well, I look at this question very differently than I would have before Ruthless. I think before Ruthless, when you're in a leadership position, like I agree with everything you just said, Ashbrook. There are people who are just sort of authentic, even when they're against you. You know that they're against you, and they explain why, and you like there's a comfortability to that. And you don't get a lot of that in Washington. You get a lot of snakes, a lot of people misrepresenting themselves, outright lying in a lot of different ways. And so but I think since Ruthless, you also figure out not just people who are doing the right thing, but people who, they like you and they like interacting with us and our audience, and they like all of that. And I look, it sounds self-serving, but I really like people who've put time in to come talk to you, as the audience, and they know that it's important audience. I think about somebody like Tom Cotton, who literally we had USB mics in the side of the computer with no audience to speak of whatsoever, and he felt like, oh, here's a crew that I like and that I think are smart, and I can probably help by virtue of showing up. He was our first guest.
Incredible. It's so wild.
Right? I love that. I'll never forget that as
Yeah.
long as I live. He
Same.
came to our first live event.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. That's somebody who I'm just sort of indebted to because of that. I mean, everybody knows my history with McConnell. He's like a family member to me. And I know that has different connotations in the audience and everything. People take it for what it will. I'm unapologetic about that. It just is what it is.
I think that's also very important because, like you just said, loyalty is something that is most in demand and least applied in D.C.
Yeah, I agree. And you got to have it. If you don't have it, you don't trust anyone. And you probably shouldn't trust anyone. It's just revolving through staff and revolving through different friend groups that they're making over the years. I also think about somebody like Wesley Hunt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, that guy's
absolute
great.
ball to hang out with.
I mean, this is a dude who
He's a leader.
Just getting started, came in here and decided to go to the mat and comment on everything, do it in a hilarious way, and just show us who he is authentically. And it took all of about 3 minutes before we were all sort of best friends as we did it.
I mean, there's a reason he's been on like multiple times.
Yeah.
Because if he ever wants to be on, do it. Show up, man.
You got to do it.
Any day.
You got to do it. But in the end, I think my takeaway is this show has provided me much more context to people than I ever imagined it would. In that we've had a whole bunch of people on who I have had great suspicions or negativity about, that in the end I find out that they're a lot smarter than I thought they were, and they have something to add or something to bring that I didn't totally conceptualize because we're on different sides of either issues or arguments or whatever. And I think that's the thing that stands out the most to me.
There's a great benefit for all of us in doing the show.
It really is. It really is.
Sometimes we're learning stuff too.
Totally. Yeah. And we know most of these people. We've known them for years, and so sort of what gets them going, what ticks, and we try to get that out as much as we can in interviews and have the audience listen to who their authentic self is, because Lord knows you don't get that on cable TV. But in the end, there's a lot more good people than there are bad people. Certainly that we've had on this show. And we're a little self-selecting in that regard. But we've even taken risks about who it is that we're putting on. And I feel like for the vast majority of them, there's something of value there. And if you look at the polls and like how people evaluate Congress and everything else, and it's like 10%, 12%, it stands at odds to some of that when you spend time with people and you actually see their thought processes and how they're working through some things. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination we're in a great spot, but I think there are a lot of really valuable individuals up here that we've had the privilege of encountering and bringing to you on a weekly basis. All right. Next question.
Great question.
Next question. Is this Ashbrook?
Yeah, so this one comes from Lewis. And the question is, hey guys, I love the program. Thanks for the great insight and hilarious commentary. Here are some questions in case you're still looking for any. If you were elected to the House, who would be the members you would sit next to at lunch on your first day?
Oh, it's kind of a variation.
Okay, that's the first question. Here's the second. We've heard about final meals on a lot of the shows. What would your last words be in such a situation?
Good. Dude, this is great.
Very tough second question. Third question, if Hank the Tank were to design a human trap to catch you all in the inverse of the banana peel theorem, what would it consist of? Great third question.
These are really good.
Looking forward to the show and, more importantly, winning the war on Christmas. Cheers, Lewis.
Lewis has really thought this through.
Wow. Great questions.
Should we start with the first? If you were elected to the House, I mean, I guess we got yours.
Yeah. It'd be like Mike Collins, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and boy, I think 3, right? Let's say it's 4 people at a table.
Wait, did you say Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Smug. Really? Smug is an early adopter of MTG.
And Claudia Tenney in New York. That's a squad. That's like a real squad. That'd be the best table.
I don't know what to make of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not opposed to what you're saying, but there was the initial saying 1.0 Marjorie Taylor Greene that to me was like, I don't know what to make of this. And then you had like the 2.0 McCarthy version of Marjorie Taylor Greene And then now you got like, I don't know, 3.0, which is sort of a fusion of, I don't know what I'm getting there.
I just feel like she's an actual like maverick in the sense of, I think the fact that you don't know where she would land on a specific thing is actually telling, because, you know, it's not like this person just votes as a block, but it's like, okay, what do I think best represents the interests of my district? And I think that's why she's going to keep winning it.
It's an interesting take. Dunks.
Okay. Who would I sit next to at lunch on my first day? Again, misanthrope. I don't need a ton of company. Jim Jordan. Because I want to see how good of a wrestler he is.
Oh my God, you're challenging him?
I'd take him down right there.
No.
Yeah.
Wait.
He was a college wrestler.
That's what I'm saying.
You would take him down?
Dude, this is the best
I
answer.
love you,
honestly,
old man.
Duncan's like, because I want to fight.
It's not about winning or losing. It's about testing your mettle. You want to know what they have.
And that's what you're going
I want to know what his setup was. I want to know, like, what sort of moves he was going to go with. Like, is he an ankle pick guy? Is he going to try to put me in a cradle? How's his half Nelson?
So I went to a school that had like a famously good wrestling program, and I can confirm every wrestler dude is just like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
Like,
what to
they'll
make
be
of
70 years old and on their deathbeds, like, who can I wrestle for the last time? I can kick somebody's ass here.
They're like, man, I'm going to put a singlet on and rub myself all over you.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's just like my number one.
I think that's a great answer, Duncan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take the Ashbrook. Who's you sitting next to?
Well, here's the thing. I'm from Ohio. I was going to say Jim Jordan. He was going to be at the very top of my list. I'd say Wesley Hunt.
Yeah.
I'd say Jim Banks, but he's about to be in the Senate. But I'd probably Wesley Hunt because he's a good time.
Yeah.
Jim Jordan because I'd like to hear his perspectives on Ohio and what he's seen in the last few years.
Banks is a pretty cool guy. That's
He
a
is.
good pick.
But there's an older guy who's in the House and has seen everything from the time we got here to what is in front of him today, and it's this guy named Tom Cole. Mm-hmm. And he is one of the deans of the delegation in the House, and he is a smart guy who is not on the tip necessarily of every conservative's tongue, but he's a guy who has seen a lot, and I like to spend time with the people who know history and have seen the most history, so that I can sort of pick that up from them. So I'll add Tom Cole to that list.
I like that. I obviously have a much more complex Senate answer to that question than the House. Mm-hmm. But, look, I'd love to sit next to Wesley Hunt. Half the people who come on this show I would love to sit next to. The one guy that just sort of sprung to my mind is Mike Waltz.
Oh, yeah.
Great
Florida.
dude.
Yeah.
Because of what he's seen, right? Because of his life experience.
He's seen some shit.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is an incredibly decorated hero of this country who also goes to Congress with, it seems to me, like a very squared away view of almost anything. So if I'm here, I assume I'm not here to fuck around. If I'm here to fuck around, I got a very different answer to this question. But, like, I want to know what that guy knows. So that's why I would pick.
It's a good answer.
That's why I would pick him.
Well, what about the second question here? We've heard about final meals on the show. What would be your last words in such a situation? I mean, that is a very, very deep question.
Last words. Doesn't it? Context matters a lot on this deal.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
I should say so.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Smug? You got something?
So I think this is like a two-part question. So for me, it's like I've given Foldy instructions that like if it hits the fan, like be sure to cremate me before the libs can get their hands on my body and parade me through the streets. You know, like because they are itching to do that. They want to drag my body up and down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Here are the following five things that you hide.
Hit it with their shoes and such. So like if the libs get to me first, it'd be see you all in hell. And if it's me and Foldy in the bunker, it's hit the fan. I know, it's time. I'd say, all right, get the gas, Foldy.
Nice.
Those are my final words.
I got it. Final words. I mean, it's something. What do you, Duncan? What do you think?
I think the situation obviously, determines what you would do in this situation. If I'm like with my family, like in a hospital bed, I think it's just I love you, take care of the kids sort of situation.
That's just so dark.
It's super dark.
If I like die alone on the floor somewhere, I don't know. Here I am, Lord. That's it. See ya.
What if it's the libs who break into your survival bunker? Like it's Biden's.
Then it's you'll never take me alive.
You'll never. Excellent answer.
I love that. Smash.
I mean, if we're taking the serious route, it's obvious. I would, tell my wife and my girls I love them. They're my life. Nothing else really matters to me. If we're being funny, boy, I don't even know. I don't even know what I would say. Some kind of a goof on the old man.
Well, the question you got to be asking yourself is, why am I in the room? Maybe it was a little too much goofy.
Got heavy on the goofs.
One too many. One goof over the line.
What about you, Holmes?
I think it would just be you bastards.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I feel like, no matter what, you're at the end. I mean, I think it was Frank Sinatra's last words were like, I'm losing. Right? I'm talking about the ultimate winner throughout his career, but he's like, I can't keep going. I'm losing. I'd be like, you bastards. I'm not ready to go. I'm not. I don't think I'll ever be ready to go. I feel like that's part of it. Who knows? Maybe that's my outlook on life. All right. What's the third part?
If Hank the Tank were to design the human trap that like Ashbrook, his like banana trap.
I'll take this one first because one of our listeners was very funny on Twitter the other night, a couple weeks ago during a Bengals game or something, and he posted a picture of a pool with a bunch of Cincinnati Bengals jerseys on it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I got Ashbrook or something like that. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So I think I would say an Olympic-sized swimming pool with Cincinnati Bengals jerseys on it.
Yeah.
That'd get me.
I mean, mine would definitely be luring me into some kind of a Vikings event, like a skull event.
Well, I know what yours would be. If I had to catch you, I would put the finest brined and dressed ribs on your grill, and I would put a little snare right there in front. Because you would see those, and you'd be like, those need to be smoked. And like a moth to a flame, you would go there, and I'd catch you in the snare.
That would be the end.
The end of you.
You're 100% right.
Right.
It's better than I could have come up with. You're right.
That's great.
I would be like, let me go smoke, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't work. I gotta imagine yours is something to do with a fine bourbon.
It's barbecue and bourbon, Eastern Carolina vinegar-based pulled pork. If you can get some beans and some mac and cheese, I mean, I could even know it's a trap. And it's still worth
it. You just accept it.
You're like, well,
worth it.
What are you gonna do?
You just see Smug wandering in, looking at people, and all of a sudden seeing it and being like that like a robot.
Here's my last word.
Moth to a
See
flame.
you all now. Time for some barbecue.
And for me, it'd be like if there was like a note on my island in the kitchen that was like, there's like a great podcast you got to listen to, and like there are AirPods there, and outside was like my lawnmower in a yard that needed to be mowed.
Yeah.
And if you had all of those things in concert, you could definitely murder me. if I knew I had 2 hours of just my favorite thing.
All right, who's got this next one? What are we on here? Is this is this 6?
Yeah, that's Duncan.
Okay. This is from Garrett. Hello, gentlemen. My name is Garrett. I am a teacher around Annapolis, Maryland. As if it was not hard enough to be a conservative in the world of education. Thanks, Randy. I have been having one of the most challenging times of my life for about 6 months. I moved to Maryland with my girlfriend, and she almost immediately ended things with me.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I have no friends in this area because I haven't met many people still. and I was in a dark place for a while. But 2 things kept me going. 1, the hope that things will get better in my life and the country. 2, my 4 friends that I have known since college, Josh, Smug, Duncan, and John.
That's awesome.
Every
Excellent.
Tuesday and Thursday, I get to drive to work listening to people who I've come to think of as my friends and who make me laugh, think, and have hope.
Before you go on to the rest of that, that's how we feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. I always thought it was sort of trite when people who had mass broadcasting were basically, you know, continuously referring to their people who listen as family members or whatever, until you do it.
It's true.
And then when you do it, it does feel like that.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. And we get to see them. We go out on different events and you meet these people face to face, and it's like, dude, it does. It feels like one big ruthless family. I'm so glad to hear that.
And selfishly in our own way, like, I don't know if I could get through everything in our politics today if we didn't get to do this show twice a week.
100%,
So, like,
yeah.
it's a gift to ourselves as well.
Totally.
Garrett continues, I know that was a bit much for an intro, but I want you guys to know the difference you make, not only politically, but personally for me.
Kind.
You are not the little program that can. You are the program that has and will continue to for me.
Awesome.
I guess I have to ask you guys a question. I have 2. Are you all actually friends outside the podcast, or do you secretly hate each other?
I love that.
2, the best person to give me comfort in my dark times was John Ashbrook. He reminds me of my dad for some reason, and he just seems like the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Is the voice as nice as he seems?
I want to take that second one first. I know
Okay.
there's a little bit more to read. You have one
Okay.
more sentence here.
Thank you for all you guys do. You make a big difference in my life and others, and in the hope for this country. Keep the faith, hold the line on the lips.
Awesome.
I love this for so many reasons. Number 2, and this is on Ashbrook. The short answer is yes. He is what he is. Like, you're getting what you hear is what he is. But there has never been, nor will there ever be, a bigger stone cold killer in politics. Like the iciest of icy serial killer in politics in terms of oppo and research.
I've seen
and
him work taking down a Democrat, and it's like horrifying.
remorseless. Absolutely remorseless.
It's like, you know how sharks can smell blood from like several miles away? It's like Ashbrook will be several weeks away from accomplishing his goal and drive towards it like maniacally until his target is destroyed.
And then on the outside, he's this guy who's got like he loves his wife and his little girls, and you'd never expect this guy just like
no, give you the shirt.
bodies Democrat.
Give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me take a little shine off his penny real
Okay,
quick.
please.
He is, Garrett, he is absolutely fantastic. The thing that rubs me the wrong way about my friend John Ashbrook is, like, I'm a little brother.
Oh yeah, this is so good.
I'm a little brother. And John Ashbrook is your quintessential big brother who, like, knows how to push your buttons and does so with a sociopathic enjoyment.
and the smile.
And a smile on his face because he knows it's all goofs. And
All the while, mom is loving the older brother.
yeah. He's like, Ashbrook, because I had an older brother, I know this is what John Ashbrook did, because this is what my brother did to me when we both be in the back of the car. He would do this. Smug, turn this way. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And then you would go complain to mom, and then mom would be mad at you because she's trying to drive, and then he'd look over at you and he'd smile. And as a little brother, I have to point that out.
That's so good. Well, look, and for the rest of us, no, honestly, the best part about this show is what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
We would choose to do this day in and day out if we didn't have to. We like to joke. We like to give each other a hard time, which I think is what friends do. I don't want to know or be with anybody who's sensitive about that. And this crew is the opposite of sensitive about that, right? We tear each other apart on a day-to-day basis. But that's what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, honestly, like we could record this show if we just brought mics when we're hanging out watching football.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Totally.
In fact, there are numerous times when we're just sort of hanging out, where halfway through it, it's like this whole conversation felt like an episode.
We missed out on content, folks.
We do these pre-show meetings where Wolf frequently is like, damn it, I wish we were recording this.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, but we would totally be canceled.
Yeah.
All right, next one, Smug.
So this is from Matt in Oregon. Question for Mr. Smug. Hello, esteemed gentlemen and Ashbrook. Already, this is off to a great start. I was hoping Mr. Smug could provide us with his definitive list and ranking of the worst airlines in America. This is so good.
I know Matt. Yeah. Matt's been in our shows.
Yeah.
Matt's a good guy. I know exactly where this is coming from. He's setting the bait right now.
Ever since he said something along the lines of kids should have to fly in the pen with the rest of the animals, I've wondered which airlines he thinks are the absolute worst. Keep up the great work, and I hope you all have a phenomenal and Merry Christmas, even Ashbrook. Great question. Honestly, very good question. So this is difficult because the real crisis in America is that all domestic airlines are bad. Like, that's the thing. It's a question of, like, there's no good domestic airline, which the context that's even more important is America, throughout its entire history, has led the world. It's the greatest country on earth. If someone wants to become something and accomplish something, it happens in America. It doesn't happen in Europe. Europe's like a dead museum. They had their time. Everyone knows it's over. It happens in America.
Yeah, at our founding, we had the greatest domestic airlines that existed.
And now,
at our founding,
now you look at, like, there was a time where, like, airline travel used to be designed to be enjoyable for the passenger. Now it's designed to be affordable for the company, right? So they don't care about the customer whatsoever. They'll cut any corner. Like, what happened to pre-flight drinks? Like, you're lucky if you get a pre-flight drink at this point, Like, what happened to actually caring about people? So it's not a hospitality industry anymore. It's essentially moving. It's like a train in the sky. They're just moving cargo. The worst offender, hands down, has to be Southwest. Though. Like, they don't even, to my knowledge, they don't even assign seats, right? It's like, they just open the door and jump away.
Even Amtrak's assign seats now.
That's it. There you go. Like, even trains have not fallen to the level that Southwest has.
Did you notice that the Babylon Bee has taken your position on Southwest and has broadcast it?
Like 6 months ago, that joke I had about they should just, like, throw hay on the ground and let the animals in. Sure. I mean, they're more than welcome to. I'm happy to inspire people, as long as it brings the message that Southwest is a zoo in the sky. But if your kids don't know how to behave, get on Southwest so that the rest of us don't have to suffer. And then it's like a toss-up because, like...
What do we call it at one point at the Waffle House, this guy?
That's what it is, because there's going to be a brawl. It's going to be problems no matter what. Except the food's not great, so, it doesn't even have that going for it. But, like, when it comes to Delta, they've given me a runaround. They've treated me very badly. And American Airlines, it's like... like I said, you don't get your pre-flight drink. Everything's vanilla. It's disgusting. Like, the planes aren't cleaned well. I think you're lucky if you take off and land on time. Like, how messed up is that? Like, you buy a plane ticket and you're paying these people because they promise, I will pick you up at this time and drop you off here at this time. And who can any listener tell me if they've had a flight recently take off and land on time?
Well, I mean,
they have one job. They literally have one job.
I've had quite a lot do exactly that. But
recently?
Yeah.
Recently?
Yeah. So hold on. I think number one, like, I think our opinions of air travel are colored by if you ever travel internationally on an international flight and you have a much different and better experience.
Right.
It colors your opinion of your domestic air travel. There's plenty of bad domestic air travel in Europe with these foreign carriers. But when we experience those, it's typically on a long-haul international flight, and we think, boy, oh boy, Turkish Airlines is the best. It's like, well, there are a lot of domestic flights in Europe that are terrible. Like, worse, like, I'm talking like Spirit.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, I mean, there is the price competition of all of these airlines where they're trying to deliver you the cheapest ticket they can.
Look at this guy. He's siding with the airline.
What I'm saying is like
Big Plane Duncan. Look at this.
No,
Big Plane.
He's in the pockets of Big Plane.
No, I'm not in the pockets of Big Plane. Trust me, I am not. I'm just telling you, if, like, for, like, families that travel a couple times a year, like, the ticket price is the thing that's most important to them. It's not getting a pre-flight beverage.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like they'll stop at Hudson News and they'll get a water.
We're in a different, we're in a different approach.
But for
on
people,
some of that.
but for people like us who travel more for business and stuff, you notice things like that. But for your family who's like, they're more price conscious and they just want the cheapest way to get from point A to B. Now, does that mean that they have to travel like animals? No. But like people sacrifice a lot more for the lower ticket price than you or I might.
Is it bad that I have two entirely different concepts of air travel? Like one is exactly what you're talking about. Like I would love a luxury recliner with a cigarette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that
like,
used to be Coach.
Yeah, no. I like that's clear it all out, and that's what I would want to do if I'm like on business class. When I'm traveling with my kids, give me the worst. Give me the absolute. I want expectations to be exactly where they're at. You know what I mean? Like I'm totally cool with sitting, four abreast in the middle of the fucking plane, hating every second of it because for me it's just like white knuckling.
Like what am I even supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with that like little shallow Diet Coke? Like when I've got kids on both sides of me. You know what I mean? Like it adds no value to my life at all.
None.
So it's just a little different. I feel like for different travelers, different things are a priority.
But Southwest
you're not wrong.
But Southwest was your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down, it's got to be the worst.
Okay.
And like, there's what are they called? The green airline. I've never been on
Frontier.
Is it Frontier? Yeah. So like, I don't think those even count as airlines.
All right, I got this next one. You often mention, it looks like this might be a serious question. Hi guys, this is from Cheryl. You often mention how contributing directly to a campaign is more powerful than giving to a PAC, as the candidate gets better pricing for TV ads. I tried to contribute to Hung Cao's campaign online, but was turned out through WinRed. Oh, we can explain all of this in a second. Is that a PAC? I couldn't find any other way to contribute directly to the campaign. What is an engaged citizen to do in these cases?
This is a great question.
Please answer. I'm sure this is a question that many others have run into. Love you all. Thanks for the dose of the twice weekly sanity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I feel like we have such a different set of audiences that we talk to on a day-to-day basis, and it's always hard to calibrate exactly what it is that we're explaining, but this is a perfect question that we ought to explain.
Totally.
Right? So, Michael, why don't you take the WinRed one?
Yeah, so Democrats for a very long time through this entity called Act Blue have been kicking our ass in small dollar digital fundraising. What Act Blue is a conduit PAC. Now, what that means in a practical sense is like Act Blue and WinRed in this example, like have the technology for the payment processing. They store the credit card information and all of these sorts of things. The reason why that's important is because it makes for a less friction in the environment of donating.
If you have an account with
the
WinRed,
saved payment information.
It's like it operates like Amazon.
Yeah.
Whereas so you can click on somebody's profile, see their campaign, want to donate it to it, and donate to it, rather than having to reallocate all of the information that the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, requires you to do, which is it takes a couple minutes for sure.
Yeah. And you want that frictionless environment for a donor. And so the Republicans sort of tried to match what Act Blue did with WinRed, right? WinRed is the Republican conduit PAC. So if you're donating through WinRed on Hung Cao's website, you're donating to Hung Cao. Right?
It's not going to
WinRed. WinRed is just the technology that powers the transaction and the conduit PAC that reports it. And the reason why that's valuable, obviously, is because like the Democrats have kicked our ass and we needed a technology to try to match them. So
can I make it even simpler?
Yep.
Think of WinRed as Republican PayPal.
Yeah.
It's their job is all it does is it makes the money you want to donate go there electronically.
That's right.
All it is.
Now,
it's Republican PayPal.
Now here's the thing that you want to make sure of, and it's not just with politics, but anything that you're contributing money to, period, online, whether it's nonprofit or political. Read the fine print on the bottom of that, because what we ran into in recent years are a whole bunch of people that use processors for what they call splits.
Yep.
And they'll send an email on behalf of like Donald Trump, for example, that'll say, like, if you want Donald Trump to be elected, contribute here.
Yeah, contribute to stand with Trump.
And then you'll go, if you read the fine print, you'll find out that like 88 or 99% of the contribution doesn't go to Trump at all.
Yeah, it's going to some candidate in Connecticut who just had a lot of email copy go out.
Yeah, and some of the worst offenses of this were last cycle's National Republican Senatorial Committee. Where
none of it was going to all of it was going to the candidate.
Yeah, it was
none
like
of it was going to Trump.
It presented itself in the form of Herschel Walker's runoff campaign in Georgia. I mean, it would be going on all cycle, but in Herschel Walker in particular, household name if you're serious about politics in a runoff context, and people would want to contribute to the campaign, and 99% of it was going to a committee, 1% of that proceed in his name was going to Herschel Walker's campaign. Like, those are the things that you should look at the bottom before you contribute. Now, I will say the vast majority of this stuff, particularly on WinRed, is completely what you see is what you get.
Like, going to the candidate's actual website and clicking the WinRed link is how you go.
That's how you
donate
do it.
directly.
Yeah.
It's like if someone had a PayPal on their website, that's it. So, like, if you go directly to the candidate you want to donate to, their website, click on the WinRed button, the money goes to them.
What I'm talking about is when you get like a text
Email
or
or
an
text
email.
that's like, hey. Yeah.
Like those ones, you definitely want to read the fine print to make sure your money's going where you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Great question.
Anyway, great question. Duncan?
Okay. This is from Bill in New Jersey. I'd like the fellas to give an overview of their knowledge of Lord of the Rings.
Holy cats.
Wow.
Dungeons and Dragons, comic books, etc.
Right.
I think Duncan has clarified Lord of the Rings lore on different episodes, so think he's read the books. Curious to know how into these kinds of things everyone is or isn't.
I'm curious too.
Bill in New Jersey.
I guess I'll give the first answer to this. It is 0 for me. I had starting lineups in baseball cards, and I watched sports growing up. On to Duncan.
And are you
Duncan-
playing in the MLB?
How'd
that work out?
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Duncan answers-
You're saying because I had baseball cards, I was supposed to be playing in the MLB?
I'm saying maybe if you read Tolkien, you'd be inspired and you'd be in the MLB.
Because you played Dungeons and Dragons, are you now a dragon? You now like a dungeon?
I didn't play Dungeons and Dragons, but I read Tolkien. That's why I'm a winner.
Well, hold on. I'll also just piggyback off that, and then we can get the other side of the story. Smash. In addition to baseball cards and sports and things like that, I had friends.
Right. That's what
that I communicated with. I liked girls.
Right.
Growing up.
That's another thing.
And those were interesting things to me. I liked a lot of the things that I like now. Fantasies. And
continuity of interest.
And 16-sided dice. Did not factor in to what it was that I was concerned
This
about.
question was for me. And we've spent 3 minutes you projecting onto me who you think I am. So let me just clarify things for our audience. No, I have not read Lord of the Rings.
You never read Tolkien, dude?
No,
Wow.
never Dungeons and Dragons. I was really into C.S. Lewis. I read in
Chronicles of Narnia.
No. As part of like confirmation. Growing up in church.
Screw tape letters.
No, someone recommended to me Mere Christianity, which I always
that's
found
a good book.
like a really good book, and that was basically my entry point into the Chronicles of Narnia, and because I never really, I played sports, wrestling, lacrosse, soccer, football.
Well, you're a little bit of a unicorn.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, like, C.S. Lewis is a great example because there's a lot of Christianity and I think morality intertwined into the writing, and Tolkien's the same way.
Right, and that's why
they were friends, right?
And that's why I do like those sorts of things.
Sure.
Is that was sort of my entry point into it. But I never read all the Lord of the Rings books, but love the movies.
And I think I will say this: reading that is it has moral clarity, which I think is a major problem today. Is there are such obvious issues that we face that the left has done an incredible job obfuscating, like the obviousness of when it can come to things like do we sterilize 6-year-olds? You know, like,
Yeah.
because there's a lack of moral clarity. And so, you know, even the media that we consume now, it's like, oh, we don't know whether this is a good guy or a bad guy. I think, you know, Tolkien shows the importance of moral clarity. You know the right thing to do. And it stresses people who act with morality win. People who act immorally lose. And I think that's an important lesson for everyone to learn. I think that's severely lacking.
Smug, did you play Dungeons and Dragons?
No,
Simple
no,
question.
but I read the books of Tolkien.
Okay. Were you or were you not stuffed into lockers?
I wasn't.
You were a big man too.
Well, here's the thing is, so like,
Yeah, no,
That's what I think
he's a
we've
very,
got here.
He's a very tall guy.
He's a sturdy individual. It'd be tough to
6'2".
shove him into lockers.
Yeah, but-
as is Duncan. I mean, that's the
Right.
thing. Is it's like
I'm
You
shocked you
can't
didn't
do
read
it.
Tolkien, man. I highly
No.
recommend everyone should read Tolkien.
I didn't have any time, dude. I didn't have any time in high school because I played sports literally year round, and then outside of that, I had travel soccer, and in the summer I did Olympic development program.
I read Tolkien Elementary School.
I didn't get to do
recommend,
any of it.
I was busy being
parents
rad.
grab that.
Being rad. Oh, you were a little too rad. Yeah.
All right, question 10. This one goes to Ashbrook. Oh no, it says that I have to answer this. What is this?
Okay.
What is this mess?
I don't know, but it's from someone named Boss. Oh my God.
Oh no.
This is awesome.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
No, I've heard this from people that they think it's really good.
You've heard this from who? Are you kidding? Did you write
this?
this?
No, I didn't write this.
This is not good.
Holmes's skincare routine?
Come
What
on.
kind of show is this?
People say he's got good skin. I've heard this from girls.
Well, just read the thing. Read the thing.
I'm not sure I want to.
Okay, I'll read the thing. Holmes' skincare routine? Can we talk about Holmes' skincare routine?
Can we talk about it?
When I first saw him on camera at the Iowa State Fair a couple of years ago, I thought it was kind of just a sweaty fella.
Well, I was a sweaty.
Now I see him on the UB-Tubies and know that shine is actually the glow of one hell of a pampered face. What's the secret? Cold cream? Moisturizer? Tell us more.
How did this one get through?
I can't believe this
Here's the key part. The other three look a bit dull in comparison. Please step it up, fellas.
I'll tell you what. I'll take it.
Hold on.
So I actually
Spaghetti, was this you? Did you do this? This is Wolf?
No, so I
Unbelievable.
I think I have an answer. I think I have an answer on this.
You do. Oh yeah. Do.
Holmes
Michael-
does what?
You always have an answer.
I do. Mr. Big Brother. I do have an answer. Okay, so number one, Holmes. He clearly has some sort of skincare routine.
You're answering my
does.
skincare routine.
He has a routine.
No. But this is the first thing I want to get in because I noticed this when I did Megyn Kelly by myself. Is the one shot chair has the best lighting because you're right on top.
Oh, so it's the lighting that's doing it?
It's part of it. It's part of it. When you're in a one shot, can we go to the one shot of Holmes? So you see how much light there is from the top down on him. Mm-hmm. He looks more tan on TV than you do here in person.
I called
have
this.
Have you noticed this?
I told Wolf this. I was like, you gave him the one cam to make him look like a superstar.
Well, he's in the one shot.
Hey,
you know?
Wolf, I just want just a technical question here. The middle thing, is that not kind of the same as this one?
No, see, it's
totally
behind
different.
us. It's on our backs.
It's totally different.
It's changed since what he's talking about.
Yep, it's rigged.
Oh.
This is rigged.
No, so
It's rigged.
but currently, in your estimation, it is the same.
The best skincare
So-
routine
so-
is you hire Wolf and he'll rig it.
No,
you
so
look the
wait.
best.
So what Wolf is saying, just to be clear, is that what you're watching right now is the same across the board.
No, that's a lie. More fake news.
I think it's fake news.
It's incredible.
I think it's fake news.
It's incredible.
I will tell you what. You can't put anything past the old man.
You
No,
can't.
you sure can't. And of course, it's that he's got a rigged seat. He's got a
you like
rigged
that?
seat.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's good.
Well, it could be the rigged seat because, to be honest with you, I'm from Minnesota, and skincare routines are not like.
But you do tan well. Your nickname in high school was Homesa.
Yeah. No, it was. That's a touch racist, I guess.
Is it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it feels like it.
Probably not.
But they
I don't
did.
think
I
so.
do tan well. I was the Scandinavians that had a little darker complexion.
Well, they were the
So-
ones. If anyone was being racist, it was them.
Yeah, well, listen.
I
don't
like
know.
how we get to get a touch of racism in the first and last question. Just bookended.
It's just incredible. I don't know how else to explain it, fellas. I don't have any special things, but it is what it is. They say when you grow up as Minnesotan and Scandinavian, you kind of look like Macaulay Culkin until you're like in your 50s, and then you look like Abe Vigoda after that.
Wow.
Ashbrook's like, I got that reference.
So I'm still, I'm still working on the Macaulay side of things. But anyway, fellas, I think we did it. This is the Q&A answer. I love that we did this.
Yeah. Excellent questions from the Minions. And that's just part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
We're going to continue. Tons of great questions. Thank you so much to the Minions. Absolute banger of an episode, gentlemen. So, until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Thursday. Stay ruthless.